This video is still relevant. It's only January. So these are my worst reads of 2025. From least bad to most bad, and I only have 7. I didn't even have 10 bad books, so I think it was a pretty good reading year. And this first one, it's not that bad. I have one main problem with it. It is a children's early graphic novel. It's for like ages 5 to 9. It's called Nancy Spector, Monster Detective. And it's cute. It's a little girl. She's solving mysteries. She's got a dog sidekick. The invisible man has lost his invisible dog and they need to go find it. That's a great book. I love it. I don't love, this is a spoiler, Invisible Dog is allergic to the invisible dog. And whenever he's around the invisible dog, he sneezes. The snot drawings of the visible dog constantly being allergic made me kind of feel nauseous. It was just too much for me. Just seeing the snot all over the food in the fridge, no. If there's a child who likes spooky humor and snot and barf-based humor, they're gonna love this book. But I did not enjoy looking at those pages, and he was snotty on most of the pages. Okay, book number 2, The Bard and the Baker. The Baker and the Bard. Sorry, I'm thinking of a pub named The Bard and Banker, but it's The Baker and the Bard. It's tagged as young adult online, and it really felt more like it would be for elementary age. Like there's nothing inappropriate that's happening. Everything is quickly resolved, clearly communicated. When characters talk about themselves, they talk in very definitional terms, so it feels like you're being educated about what these ideas are, which is great, but wasn't really what I was expecting from a young adult book. I wasn't even sure if the characters were young adults or if they were teens. It seems kind of uncertain. They haven't gone out in the world or been given that much responsibility yet. At the end, they get more responsibility by running their own baking cart. I like all the ideas. It's got the keywords that I like of like cozy, baking, magic, fantasy realm, mushrooms. But I didn't find it that engaging as a story because everything is kind of resolved immediately as it comes up. And my final drawback for this one is that a lot of panels had plain color backgrounds, and about halfway through I just felt like I'd missed something, and then flipping back, I think the only thing missing was that I didn't have great context in every scene for where characters were or what they were doing, because a lot of the backgrounds were that faded color. I hope the author keeps creating, and I think they could make something pretty effective for a younger audience. This is the last one where I didn't connect with it, but I still think that other people could connect with it, and I might recommend it to someone who it sounds good to. Haru is a little blue bird who's best friends with a boar, and they're getting pulled from school life to a magical world, and the world was interesting. The illustrations, the places they go, I definitely felt like there was story happening behind these places, and that maybe it gets continued in the other books. There's multiple stories happening. You're going to the villain, you're going to the main characters, you're seeing scenes from other characters in the world, but it was never in a way that flowed nicely, and it served to confuse me. Like, I was getting lost, and the characters talked in a way that didn't feel like a fantasy story. Like at school, and the school is like a normal school, but then they go home and their mom's a ghost, and there's like, but she acts like it's just normal, and that's not addressed in the first book. I'm sure it's addressed later. It's hard to describe why I didn't like this book because I struggled to really understand the vibe of the book. And that struggle is why I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I didn't really get it. And maybe you will? I don't know. But it has a cute cover and it has cute art. Okay. Getting into books that I more actively dislike. I read the first book and the first volume, and I was all right with it, and then I read the second and third, and I was like, I do not like this series. If Julie and Selena's relationship is supposed to be one that's an example of like how you can fall into a relationship really quickly when you're young and in that university age, and be in a toxic situation that you don't really understand because you're new to relationships and you're new to love and you have trouble getting yourself out of it or navigating that, great. That's great. I didn't feel like the book wanted me to be learning that, and maybe that's me misunderstanding. It felt like it wanted me to root for the two main characters to be together, but I didn't think they were good together at all. They were like mean to each other, and they never gave each other any grace to resolve misunderstandings or to communicate or to take a moment and just regulate and then discuss their feelings. they're immediately put into a situation where they're trying to help a friend out, and there's a lot of things happening. And then by the other books, they've never had time to just sit and be in a relationship and get to know each other. They're always like solving a problem and just building up resentment and anger at each other and then being mean to each other. Yeah. And that wasn't fun to read about. I don't have as much to say about this one. Powerful is a novella in between the books of another series. I was talking about how I didn't think I would like these books, and then my friend said, well, you should at least try to read them. So I read the novella because that's faster, and then was correct in that I didn't like the books. As someone who like mostly reads books for children, like middle grade books, I get really frustrated when I pick up an adult book and then the writing, like quality, the character development, the dialogue is like so far beneath what I could expect from like a solidly written middle grade novel. Yeah. As someone who's interested in reading and D&D, I kept getting shown this book on Book Talk over and over and over again. And then I read it, and I was very sad that I did that. Dungeon Crawler Carl. There's a lot about this book that I did not like or enjoy. I don't think the humor is for me. Pretty immediately upon him fighting the first like monster boss, I knew that this was not the book for me because the description of her I found really awful. Yeah, I get that the world that they're in is very cutthroat and everyone's dying and it's very violent and there's millions of people dying, so it's very bad. It doesn't interest me, and I don't like the just like mass murder to raise the stakes. I think that when the character is largely unaffected by these events in any way that matters, it doesn't raise the stakes. The like emotional implications of what's happening are there technically, but are they? The last book. This is going to be short. I promise. This video is not short, but this is going to be shorter because I'm going to make another video all about this book. But basically, my worst book of 2025 that I read is the children's middle grade novel, Spy School. Now, Spy School, the first book came out in 2012, so over 10 years ago, but the most recent book came out this year. They're constantly publishing new books in this series. It's very popular. I see kids reading it all the time at the schools I'm teaching at, and it's really bad. It's a really bad book. It's poorly written. I actually almost put it down in the first chapter because the writing was annoying me. But I kept reading, and then I was annoyed by everything else. The main thing that off the bat is upsetting is that the main character is in the spy school to be trained by the actual CIA, and the way that they talk about the US government, the CIA, their enemies who are not named but implied throughout the book in a way that feels like fill in your own bias here. The way that the girls are treated in the book, the character's love interest, they don't get together because she's 3 years older than him, but the words to describe her feel like the way you would describe a grown adult and not a 15-year-old girl. And in this book, twice she like pins the main character to the ground with her body. I don't know. It's just, girls and women do not exist in any way without their connection to men and boys. I'll make a video with more detail about why this is a terrible book. Those are my worst books of 2025.